Polyphony Digital's Driving Simulator is a celebration of car culture built to be enjoyed by new drivers and existing fans alike. Race, collect, unlock, tune, photograph. The game's features are tailored to let you express your love of cars however you like. Yet if you're new to the series, Gran Turismo 7 is remarkably easy to get into. Analog stick, directional pad, or motion steering, or do you want any auto-drive features turned on, any on-track visual indicators to help you brake appropriately? Front-loading these questions may seem like a lot initially, but they quickly set you up for success, as you can immediately apply your settings to the very first race, the new music rally feature. Rather than racing against the traditional countdown clock, the goal is to listen to the music track while you're driving. Passing through colored gates replenishes your beats as you drive. The more beats you gain, the longer the distance can drive. Naturally, every music track has a different BPM. There are 6 different songs to choose from, and more to come. This is not a race to finish first. It's about keeping up with the beats and getting to the next checkpoint. It's also a fun, stress-free way to get acclimated to your control scheme right out of the gate. If you don't like your initial settings, don't worry, you can adjust them at any time. And while this isn't really a tip per se, the new music replay feature randomly generates cuts based on the intensity and rhythm of the song you've chosen. Every music replay will have different camera angles and compositions. It's a cool way to see your racing skills highlighted in a dynamic and engaging way. With hundreds of cars, thousands of parts, and reams of information about car culture, it's easy for new players to see certain menus or screenshots of Gran Turismo 7 and feel overwhelmed. But don't panic. You don't need to know what a gear ratio is to go fast, earn cars, and experience pretty much all Gran Turismo 7 has to offer. The first few hours guide you through each area of the world map, offering explanations and light direction about what to do next. And as you collect your first few cars, you'll be soaking up the insanely gorgeous visuals and legendarily smooth tunes. Before long, the alluring audio-visual wonder of this car quest will settle in. Your first big decision is choosing one of 3 compact cars. You'll quickly earn the other 2, so just pick the one that speaks to you. These starter cars are just that, and will quickly give way to sportier, faster options. So for those first several hours, play around. Drive a lot of different cars, experiment with tuning, and basically just find something that feels right to you. Everyone's journey will vary, but broadly speaking you should have many cars to choose from within the first few hours. Following the menu books at the GT Cafe will earn you a fair few new cars, but don't forget to scope out Brand Central once you've unlocked it for additional options. A core part of the GT experience, license tests teach you critical driving skills via short, scenario-based minigames. Your car is predetermined, and your goal is always clear: accelerate, and then brake to a full stop within this designated area, so attempting these tests, and applying this knowledge to the rest of the game is crucial. However, some of the tests are hard. And even if you get bronze or silver, nabbing gold can be intense. License tests are easy to fail on the first or second attempt, but as you try again and again, you'll start noticing things: when to shift, when to brake, what feels right. And soon you'll get that silver. Then a gold. And like any boss battle that completely vexes you the first 10 times, you'll eventually smoke these challenges and know exactly how to handle this situation when it comes up again. It's a feeling not too far removed from tackling notoriously difficult bosses. Accomplishment, understanding, and maybe just a pinch of yes got you. On PS5, the ultra-high-speed SSD makes all these retries a breeze, so learn to love the license tests. While those first few cars are certainly tunable, don't worry about them too much. Acquire more cars, find something you like, and then start playing around with parts. Tires are a great tuning option that give pretty tangible results, so consider them before getting into horsepower. One of the earlier menu books asks you to tune as well, so one way or the other you'll find yourself at the tuning garage. Tuning definitely makes a difference, but you don't need to obsess over extremely fine tuning details to experience the main campaign and hours upon hours of car ogling. For those who want to go that extra mile, there is much to consider. Variety is the high-octane unleaded of life. The cafe can provide a lot of direction for new players, but don't be afraid to bounce to the world circuits, license tests, scapes, tuning shop and so on, just to see what all's out there. Seeing your favorite car glistening in a beautiful scape really does give you a greater appreciation for your collection, and racing tracks for familiarly and extra credits is always a smart move. Since the beginning, Gran Turismo have always offered an experience where it goes beyond just racing. Staying true and being the real driving simulator, GT really lets you express your innate love of cars, be it through racing, collecting, tuning, photography, or simply just driving. Regardless of your background, everyone who has played GT have their own unique path and stories that often runs in direct parallels to real-life experiences of cars and automotive culture. GT7 is a real monster, and the car physics, weather simulations, real-time day and night cycles and weather changes and rain, the implementation of DualSense features and 3D audio are just on point, and Polyphony Digital really knocked it out of the park. I'm not usually into sim racers, but the state of play they showed really made me acquire it, and the car models, the details in it are just stunning. Some people are complaining about the microtransactions in this racer. But the fact is that you can earn each and everything, though progressing. Microtransactions is only for people who don't want to put in as much as time, and do not want to progress. As long as it is optional, I have no problem with it. Speaking of the technical marvels of GT7, there is one more breakthrough to discuss about. Sony announces its all-new artificial intelligence that specializes in competitive Gran Turismo, which goes toe-to-toe with pro racers. The so-called Gran Turismo Sophy is a dedicated AI agent that's been purpose-built to be able to go toe-to-toe with professional sim players, and it's already showing promising results. Specifically, Gran Turismo Sophy seems to be Sony's attempt to revolutionize racing against AI drivers. The potentially groundbreaking AI was revealed as part of Sony and Polyphony Digital's special Race Together event, and the companies claim that Sophy is more than able to hold its own. Perhaps more importantly, it can do so without using rubber banding and the usual array of catch-up systems that racing games often use. What makes Gran Turismo Sophy particularly interesting is that it's quite unlike most other experimental gaming AIs. Unlike, say, the Tetris AI that plays too efficiently, Sophy has been trained from the ground up to take three major considerations into account: physical realism, real-time race tactics, and sports etiquette. The end result is a bot that, according to Sony and Polyphony, plays competitively without having to resort to cheating, as racing AIs usually do. According to Sony's blog post, Gran Turismo Sophy has been trained using a deep reinforcement learning system that leverages SIE's cloud network. Following its training, Sophy could drive aggressively but fairly, control its vehicles naturally without breaking game physics, and optimize racing lines for realistic overtaking techniques. Perhaps more impressively in regard to contemporary video game AI development, Sophy also ended up handily beating the world's best Gran Turismo Sport players in two separate events. Sony's goal seems to be to deliver a highly competitive, yet fair racing AI that could behave like an actual player in moment-to-moment gameplay. As Sony's recent acquisition has shown, the company doesn't shy away from investments that might take a good long while to pay off. The potential for an AI like Sophy to take off is downright immense, but it's going to take time before regular players see any of these developments in commercial projects. Indeed, it's highly unlikely that Sophy will be a part of the Gran Turismo 7 gameplay loop anytime soon. Polyphony Digital and Sony did promise to explore potential avenues for the implementation of Sophy into future Gran Turismo titles and also for other PlayStation first-party games, with the implication that the project is still in its early stages, and that there's much work to be done before it could be used in a practical sense. But these kind of sharing techs between studios happen often between PlayStation studios, as the ICE team exists. Gran Turismo is an Olympic sport, and its popularity tends to rise in stature over time, and I cannot wait to see where they go next. Back in September 2020, Nvidia announced a mega merger between itself and the enormously influential UK chip company ARM, and that the deal would be worth a staggering $40 billion. However, since then, there has been a lot of corporate and governmental backlash aimed squarely at Team Green. At one point, the Federal Trade Commission moved to block Nvidia's acquisition, And while Jensen Huang and co fought back, it looks as though the GPU giant has finally had to give up the ghost. According to a report from Games Industry, which itself references a statement to investors, Nvidia has finally pulled the plug on its merger with ARM, citing significant regulatory challenges that have been pushing back against the deal pretty much from day one. On top of this, the company has also had to forfeit the $1.25 billion deposit which, in accordance with the agreement, is non-refundable. The deal was expected to be finalized in March of this year. It's perhaps not too surprising that the deal has had to be terminated. Back in February 2021, the likes of Google and Microsoft disputed the Nvidia ARM deal. Given that the chip manufacturer licenses its technology to massive companies, such as Apple, Amazon, Intel, Samsung, as well as the other aforementioned two, there were grave concerns that having corporate power over it would tip the market in Nvidia's favor, which regulatory bodies claimed would give the company an unfair advantage over the competition. The European Union even got involved in the $40 billion acquisition, and while Nvidia did argue its case of how it would ultimately be beneficial to the industry for everyone, it clearly was not enough to convince those in power. What Team Green will do next remains to be seen, but the fact that it has decided to terminate the deal after all shows just how many companies and governing bodies were against it in the first place. As for Nvidia itself, the conglomerate is currently getting ready to launch its expensive RTX 3090 Ti, a beefier version of its 3090. However, things are not looking great on that front, either. With no word about when it will be launched, and reviewers yet to receive theirs, there are concerns that the company is dragging its heels about releasing it. In which case, there needs to be some rush on getting information out in an official capacity, especially given that the GPU market is almost ready to leap into the next generation. As of late, the Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard is also taking a lot of hit and inside controversies, so we have to wait and see what happens with this acquisition. I personally want this acquisition to go through, simply because of this should be their last acquisition. After this they cannot get a publisher like that. So I hope so. Speaking of Nvidia, Nvidia is currently in turmoil as a suspected attack hits the tech giant. In this modern age of 24-hour connectivity, companies and general users can find themselves at the receiving end of a hacking, which can interfere with personal computers, infect databases, and compromise sensitive information, among other things. In essence, it's a serious issue, especially when huge corporations become victims. Last year saw a cyber attack on Capcom, which left personal and corporate information exposed, and led to the studio investigating the perpetrators behind it. Now, GPU behemoth Nvidia is having to do the same after it becomes the latest target of online attacks. In a recent report from the UK's The Telegraph newspaper, Nvidia is currently investigating a suspected hack, which has left parts of its internal systems completely compromised, a spokesperson for the company has said. Following a malicious networking intrusion, it seems the company was hit hard, particularly across its development tools and email systems, which were experiencing issues for the past couple of days at the time of the report going live. There doesn't appear to be any statement made by the company about whether any of its clients, or its own, data has been breached, but no doubt Nvidia will come forward with further information soon. Despite the report about the recent hack, the GPU industry is continuing to push on. With Nvidia's 4000 series possibly launching this September, and AMD announcing the RDNA 3, the next generation of graphics card technology is fast approaching. The shortages have made this current generation very difficult, pretty much since it launched, towards the latter parts of 2020. Whether the 4000 series or RDNA 3, or even Intel's upcoming Arc products, will be able to cope as the deficit continues remains to be seen. In general, Nvidia has been having a bit of a tough time lately, more so now with this cyber attack. With the merger with UK chip firm ARM officially terminating a few weeks ago, due to backlash from many powerful bodies and competitors, and still no word about the RTX 3090 Ti, there are a lot of headaches the corporation is having to deal with, it seems. The recent hack is just one more fire that Jensen Huang and his team are having to put out right now. The company is still investigating the attack with not much information released about it up to this point in time. This is not the first time something like this has happened to Nvidia since it had its GeForce Now data leaked last year. The ransomware group calling itself Lapsus has claimed responsibility for the attack. Lapsus has posted screenshots and threatened to release proprietary source code and directory listings if Nvidia doesn't pay up. In the wake of this, Lapsus has now experienced its own ransomware attack that it is blaming on Nvidia, as if the company has done it in retaliation. It hasn't been confirmed nor denied that Nvidia was behind the counter-hack. After data leaked from GeForce Now such as Sony AAA game titles that could be involved, this kind of attack is something unfortunately familiar to Nvidia and the tech industry at large. However, it's very rare to see ransomware hackers that take responsibility for cyber attacks being given a taste of its own medicine. To some, it may be oddly satisfying to hear about an instance of a ransomware group that has already held a big company to ransom after a cyber attack being hacked. Hackers are very destructive in the gaming and tech worlds alike, even causing a site like Koei Tecmos to shut down amid its own attack. Groups like this can do things that sometimes not even the most effective security cannot anticipate. However, the company would arguably be stooping down to Lapsus level if Nvidia had actually hacked the ransomware group as a countermeasure. It's unlikely it did, but cyber-attacking hackers can sometimes lead to even worse retaliation from said hackers, such as fighting fire with fire and starting an all-out war. The fact that Lapsus even found a way to get into Nvidia's systems, a company that is big enough to have loads of cybersecurity, means that it's unprecedented what it could do to make things worse for the corporation and its employees. That being said, Lapsus probably had it coming from a mile away after launching this attack, so this isn't totally unwarranted. According to a recent report from Tom's Hardware, the cyber attack on Nvidia has led to more than 71,000 employee credentials being leaked, which includes email addresses and password hashes, which have allegedly been circulated among the hacking community. However, the report goes on to say that the company only has around 20,000 employees, which doesn't line up with the number that's being claimed. In this regard, it could be that the leaked details could also include former employees or those who have more than one account. After the initial attack, the group claimed that Nvidia was hacking the hackers right back, but at the time of that story being published, the claims were not verified. On top of that, it seems as though things may get worse for other tech firms, as another report is now saying that Samsung has become the latest victim of Lapsus, which says that it's managed to get hold of about 200 gigabytes of data from the company's servers. The data is said to contain source codes related to security. At the time of the report, the group was threatening to leak information about future GPU drivers, and would do so if Nvidia didn't offer a payoff by March 4th. With the RTX 4000 series supposedly due out this year, the last thing that the company wants is for sensitive details about its upcoming products to become publicly available. According to one source, it seems as though the RTX 3090 Ti may be due for release on March 29th, which is pretty much 2 months after it was supposedly going to be launched. There was a specific thing from the Nvidia leak suggests that a successor to the Nintendo Switch is actually real, and the device will come with support for DLSS. The Nintendo Switch is almost 5 years old now, enough time for rumors about Nintendo's next console to start appearing online. The hardware inside the Switch was never high-tech, to begin with, as some games struggled to maintain an acceptable frame rate, while some others ran at low resolutions with poor image quality. Despite the hardware limitations, the Switch user base has been able to play some AAA third-party games. While the Switch ports of titles like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Doom Eternal perform worse than the other versions, it's still surprising to see them running on the console. Fans can also gain access to big-budget games via the Switch Cloud, although the service is extremely limited in both its lineup and availability. Now, it seems like an Nvidia leak includes references to a supposed Nintendo Switch 2. It refers to the graphics API of the Nintendo Switch, and this leak heavily features the term NVN2. It further confirms the information from this leak, and this device might be a Switch Pro that got delayed, instead of a full next-gen Switch. As always, fans should take every leak or rumor with a grain of salt. Before summer 2021, many rumors suggested that Nintendo was working on an upgraded model of the Switch, with some even mentioning that it would have support for resolutions higher than 1080p. This device was rumored to be a mid-generation refresh, like the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. and there seemed to be a lot of excitement for a more powerful Switch. Those rumors turned out to be false as Nintendo revealed the Switch OLED model, which did not feature any meaningful hardware upgrades. The Nintendo Switch is a massive success, and it's already one of the best-selling gaming systems of all time. Nintendo's first-party games sell tens of millions at full price, and the Switch's demand remains high even during months bereft of any big release. Despite being 5 years old, Nintendo had earlier confirmed that the Switch is in the middle of its life cycle, so the chances of this being a mid-generation upgraded version of the Switch are indeed quite high. I want Nintendo to compete with PlayStation by creating a more powerful console, and step their game up with high-quality graphics and attention to detail, at least on par with early PS3 level graphics, which I know I won't get because Nintendo fans won't demand better. Moving forward, new leaked details regarding PlayStation's Spartacus hint at how Sony plans to differentiate its service. That plan was unofficially confirmed when leaked details regarding PlayStation's Project Spartacus spread. Spartacus was said to include both PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now in 3 different tiers of subscription. Now even more information regarding PlayStation's Spartacus plans have been leaked, including what may be a key way Sony plans to make Spartacus unique and attractive. Spartacus will be broken up into 3 different tiers. The tiers will retain the PlayStation Plus branding, but with additional labels Essential, Extra, and Premium. These tiers will then be priced at $10, $13, and $16 a month, respectively. What each tier includes is where things get interesting. The $10 PS Plus Essential tier is said to be what PS Plus is currently. It supports multiplayer game access and a small collection of monthly games that subscribers keep so long as they remain subscribed. For $13, subscribers gain access to a catalog of video games. This can be characterized as PlayStation Now's library of games, but without the cloud requirement. The $16 premium subscription includes all prior features, as well as PlayStation Now cloud streaming, game trials, and most excitingly, access to a special reserve of classic games. Exactly what classic games implies isn't entirely clear, and neither is game trials. If speculating, the library of classic games could perhaps be the inclusion of PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP and PS Vita titles, and also could be PSVR titles too. Games from previous console generations that are no longer available, except through the subscription service, would certainly grab some subscribers' attention. Given the details stemming from this recent round of PlayStation Spartacus leaks, a release is likely nearing. The report says that a testing phase for the subscription service tiers is planned to start in the next few weeks. Beyond that, an announcement could be made in March as well. Fully launching the service, however, will depend on PlayStation's ability to deliver the service, which may take some additional fine-tuning. So, expect to hear more about Sony's PlayStation Plus changes soon. Speaking of PS Plus, Sony reveals the free PlayStation Plus games for March 2022, which actually includes 4 games instead of the usual 3. From Tuesday, March 1st and through April 4th, PS Plus subscribers can claim Ark Survival Evolved, Ghost Runner, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and Team Sonic Racing. Ghost Runner is PS5 only, whereas Ark Survival Evolved and Team Sonic Racing are PS4 offerings. Both the PS5 and PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima Legends will be available for subscribers to claim, with Sony pushing it as a bonus game. However, some subscribers will be seeing a few differences in their free games lineup, depending on their region. Differences in free game lineups based on a user's region is nothing new for the platform, as the titles offered for free through PlayStation Plus have often differed based on region in the past. January's lineup of free games notably boasted the popular Persona 5 Strikers on announcement only for subscribers in Saudi Arabia to receive 505 games How to Survive 2 instead. Swaps like this aren't uncommon for PS Plus, and will continue in March, with subscribers in Asia seeing the previously announced Ark Survival Evolved replaced by 505's Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a co-op mode that was added to the game post its release. Players could choose from one of 4 classes, each with unique playstyles and abilities. Ghost of Tsushima Legends was available for free for owners of the main game, and it was included in last year's Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, which added a brand new island along with a few new features. Sony has just now added a disclaimer to the game's description on the PlayStation Store that hopes to avoid confusion about it being labeled as a trial. The updated description first mentions that Ghost of Tsushima Legends is available to all PlayStation Plus members until April 4th at no extra cost. It then states that players may see the game labeled as trial on the PlayStation Store, but they should not worry about the tag and complete the redeeming process. The description confirms that all PlayStation Plus subscribers will get the full version of Ghost of Tsushima Legends. A note at the end mentions that players who own the digital version of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut cannot redeem the game, probably because it's already included in their copy. Some players may have believed that they are getting a demo or limited version of Ghost of Tsushima Legends after seeing it labeled as a trial on the PlayStation Store. This move will hopefully prevent any confusion, but it's strange to see the game being labeled as a trial in the first place. At PlayStation's Future of Gaming showcase in 2020, where the PS5 was first revealed, it was announced that Grand Theft Auto Online would be free for PS5 owners at the time of the game's next-gen launch. The graphic on screen included a PlayStation Plus logo along with a note that PS Plus was required to play. Fast forward to 2022, and Rockstar Games' blog post mentioned that Grand Theft Auto Online would be available for free for the first 3 months to PlayStation 5 players, leading to some confusion. The way Rockstar's announcement was worded led some to believe that Grand Theft Auto Online would only be available to play for free for the first 3 months after its launch, and it not making any mention of PlayStation Plus also had fans scratching their heads. However, the confusion surrounding GTA Online and its PS5 debut has now been cleared up. It's been clarified that GTA Online will be free for PS5 gamers to download and keep as long as they claim the game in the first 3 months of its launch. This means that any interested PlayStation 5 gamers will have from March 15th until June 14th to claim the PS5 version of GTA Online for their digital libraries. Some may be wondering how PlayStation Plus fits into the equation. As it so happens, a PlayStation Plus requirement is not necessary to claim Grand Theft Auto Online for one's PS5 library, so it's not technically one of the free PS Plus games for March 2022. This is why there was mention of Grand Theft Auto Online when Sony revealed the lineup of free PS Plus games for March, despite the fact that it's going to be free. But while a PS Plus subscription is not required for one to claim Grand Theft Auto Online for PS5, it is required to actually play the game. Because of this requirement, GTA Online might as well be a PS Plus freebie, but this way someone who may own a PS5, but let their PS Plus lapse could still claim Grand Theft Auto Online now, and then play at a later date when their subscription is active again. GTA Online coming to PS5 is just one part of the equation. It's worth pointing out that the Grand Theft Auto 5 Story Mode is also making the jump to new consoles, but it must be purchased, and will not be available for free. Grand Theft Auto 5 continues to be one of Rockstar Games' most successful titles. Each re-release of the game manages to consistently top the sales charts, while its online multiplayer is still being supported even after all this time. GTA 5's next-gen console versions will also be releasing this year, after a few months of being delayed from November 11th to March 15th. These highly anticipated next-gen console versions of GTA 5 are boasting plenty of upgrades to an already stellar game. These upgrades will be applying to both GTA 5 and GTA Online, where players can re-experience the game with better graphics than high-end PC visuals as well as new graphics modes. These will feature up to 4K resolution, a frame rate of up to 60 frames per second, generally improved texture quality, HDR options, as well as ray tracing. There are also some quality-of-life advancements compared to the last-gen console versions, such as faster loading times, immersive 3D audio and DualSense features for the PlayStation 5, making it the definitive version. A lot of details were provided to fans from Rockstar about how fans can upgrade to these next-gen console versions. The storage requirements for Grand Theft Auto 5 on previous consoles was around 57 GB, but this could fluctuate after updates and such, whereby the file size could be as much as 90 GB. For a game that came out in 2013, that is a lot of storage needed. Of course, it's to be expected that the PS5 port of the game will take up more, what with improved visuals. With screenshots from GTA 5 comparing current gen to PC, it does seem as though Rockstar has made a few tweaks here and there. According to the developer, there will be some graphical upgrades, which will include ray tracing. Players will also be able to transfer their data over from the PS4 version onto PS5. The MSRP for the new generation Grand Theft Auto 5 versions haven't been made official yet, even though it's just a week away from release. The full price for these new editions, both the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions, will eventually cost $39.99 and will include Grand Theft Auto Online. Meanwhile, the standalone GTA Online will cost $9.99 on the Xbox and will be free on the PS5 for the first 3 months. The story mode can also be purchased separately and will also cost around $10 on its own. The price increase might catch some users by surprise, considering that the PS5 version was discounted at $10 and the Xbox versions is at $20, but will reportedly go up to its nearly $40 price tag in June. Fans can transfer their progress from Grand Theft Auto 5 story mode through a migration feature. Players can do this starting today by uploading saved data of the game to the Rockstar Social Club, found in the tab of GTA 5's pause menu. It should be noted that it will only save one game's file per platform at a time, and saves will remain available to download for 90 days. Players who also have a Rockstar Social Club account can also begin the process of migrating their Grand Theft Auto Online characters and progress starting March 15th. This can be done upon loading up the next-gen version of the game on either console. This process will allow players to transfer characters, GTA progression, stats, vehicles, properties, weapons, clothing, and player-created jobs. These versions of Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Online will be launching digitally on both the PlayStation and Microsoft stores on March 15th. Players who pre-purchase the game will be able to preload the game on March 8th. Rockstar also informs players that physical releases of these next-gen versions will be coming in April, stating more details about them will be shared in the future. With Grand Theft Auto 6 hopefully getting a trailer this year, all eyes are on the studio, seeing what it will do next with the franchise. It's been way overdue as far as fans are concerned, and while the current gen ports of GTA 5 will be welcomed by many, most others are just holding out for the next installment. PlayStation also unveiled the PlayStation Now games for March. PlayStation Now subscribers can check out Day 1 game Shadow Warrior 3. A brand new FPS game, Shadow Warrior 3 has earned somewhat mixed reviews so far, but it should greatly appeal to fans of the franchise and the genre in general. PlayStation Now subscribers interested in Shadow Warrior 3 will have until July 4th to play the game. Shadow Warrior 3 is just one of 4 new PlayStation Now games being added in March 2022. It's joined by Crysis Remastered, the enhanced version of the fan-favorite FPS game with remastered graphics, and some other modern bells and whistles. Relicta is also available to PlayStation Now subscribers from today on, so anyone looking for a first-person puzzle game should consider giving it a shot. And finally, the 4th new PlayStation Now game for March 2022 is a bizarre game called Chicken Police Painted Red, which is a classic adventure game where all the characters are portrayed as anthropomorphic animals. Crysis Remastered, Relicta, and Chicken Police Painted Red do not have announced removal dates, so PlayStation Now subscribers can count on them being available to play on the service for some time to come. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.